There's something almost indescribable that happens when you pick up a new racket. It doesn't matter whether you're a beginner buying your first one or an experienced player upgrading to something that feels a little more you. The moment you peel off the plastic, feel the grip in your hand, and bounce the first ball on the strings, your brain starts whispering a quiet promise. Maybe this time, things will feel different. And for many players, that tiny spark is enough to shift their entire energy. It's not about right or wrong. It's not about whether the racket truly changes your game or whether it's just the same swing in a new package. It's about what it awakens in you. A new racket is often not really about equipment. It's about psychology. It's about hope. It's about the deep, human desire to feel renewed. When you hold a brand new racket, you're not just testing frame stiffness or string tension. You're testing the possibility of a new version of yourself. The version who hits cleaner. The version who feels more confident. The version who stops overthinking and starts trusting. And that inner shift can be more powerful than any technical upgrade. Many players don't realize how much tennis is a game of identity. You're not just playing points. You're constantly negotiating who you are on court. Am I someone who chokes? Someone who fights? Someone who stays calm? Someone who collapses under pressure? Every match, every rally, every mistake pulls at those questions. And then, a small change, like a new racket, can feel like a reset button. It interrupts the old storyline, even if just a little. Suddenly, you're not the same player who double-faulted yesterday. You're the player with new equipment, new energy, new intention. The brain loves new beginnings. It interprets them as permission to act differently. But here's the part most players don't say out loud. Sometimes we need a new racket because we're emotionally exhausted with the old one. The old racket has memories, bad days, missed match points, a phase where you felt stuck or slow or disconnected. And even though the racket did nothing wrong, psychologically, it becomes a symbol of that version of you. When you switch to a new one, you're not just holding fresh graphite. You're letting go of something heavy you didn't realize you were carrying. That's why motivation rises so easily in these moments. Because in your mind, the new racket is clean, free, unburdened. It gives your brain something it craves, a storyline where improvement is possible again. Tennis players are dreamers by nature. No matter how many unforced errors we make, some part of us keeps believing that with one change, a new racket, a small adjustment in technique, a better mindset, it will finally click. That optimism is not delusion, it's survival. It keeps you playing. It keeps you learning. It keeps you growing. And yet, it's natural for doubt to appear too. Some players wonder, am I just trying to solve my problems with equipment? Others worry they're relying too much on external things instead of internal change. But again, there's no right or wrong. Humans use symbols to create psychological momentum all the time. Some people start over by rearranging their room, cutting their hair, or buying a new journal. Tennis players? We buy rackets. It's not shallow. It's deeply human. A new racket is not a fix. It's a reminder. A reminder that change is possible. A reminder that improvement is not locked behind your past. A reminder that you have permission to reinvent yourself on court. And that matters more than most people think. Because tennis can be emotionally painful when you feel stuck. When you've been trying to solve the same problems for months. When you tell yourself, next time I'll stay calm. Next time I'll trust my swing. Next time I won't get angry. And then next time comes and everything feels the same. You feel like you're trapped in a loop of old patterns. The new racket interrupts that loop. It whispers, you are allowed to start fresh. And sometimes, that tiny message is the difference between giving up and trying again. There's also something about holding new equipment that automatically pulls you into the present moment. You become curious again. You notice how the grip feels. You explore the weight. You feel the energy in your hand as you take the first few swings. And just like that, you're here, not lost in past failures or future expectations. Just here, present, connected. Tennis becomes fun again, playful again, simple again. That shift alone can transform performance. Because the truth is, many players don't lose because of poor technique. They lose because of poor emotional clarity. They carry frustration from the past, fear of failure from the future, and tension in the present. When the mind relaxes, the body follows. And when the body follows, the game flows. A new racket can act like a psychological anchor, not because it magically improves your skills, but because it changes your relationship with effort. You become more patient, more open, more willing to experiment. You stop expecting disaster. You stop replaying old mistakes. You stop judging yourself so harshly. For a moment, you allow yourself to be a beginner again, even if you've played for years. And beginners learn faster than perfectionists. This is why motivation spikes so naturally. It's not about the racket. It's about who you become the moment you believe change is possible. When motivation rises, your brain releases more dopamine and focus deepens. You train harder. You move lighter. You laugh more. You don't cling to every mistake. You give yourself permission to try again. A small external change becomes the doorway to internal renewal. It's the same reason people love the feeling of new shoes, a new gym outfit, or a new notebook. Starting fresh gives your mind space to breathe. And in tennis, a sport where pressure, self-judgment, and emotional turbulence are constant companions, that space can feel life-changing. So if you've ever felt that spark with a new racket, you're not alone. It doesn't mean the old one was wrong. It doesn't mean the new one is perfect. It just means you're human. It means you care. It means you're trying. And caring and trying are two of the most powerful forces in any athlete's life. And if you're listening right now holding a new racket and thinking, maybe this marks a new chapter for me, then yes, it can. Not because of the technology, not because of the material, but because of the story you allow yourself to write from this moment forward. You're not carrying the weight of your old patterns anymore. You're stepping into a new version of yourself, quietly but confidently. Let this new racket be a symbol of permission. Permission to miss. Permission to grow. Permission to stop being at war with yourself. Permission to enjoy the game again. Because that, more than anything, is what tennis psychology is really about. Rediscovering the part of you that loves this sport enough to keep showing up. Before we close, here's a simple reflection. When you swing that new racket for the first time, listen closely. Not to the sound of the ball, not to the feel of the strings, but to what the moment represents. A tiny reset, a small rebirth, a quiet, personal promise that you are still evolving, still exploring, still becoming. And that is something worth celebrating. If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to pause for a moment after you listen and reflect on your own story. What does your new racket represent? What part of you is ready to begin again? And if you feel inspired, share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Your story might be exactly what another player needs to hear today. Call to action. If you enjoyed this episode and want more tennis psychology insights that help you understand your mind as much as your technique, make sure to follow this podcast. Your support helps the channel grow and allows more players to learn that they're not alone in what they feel. If you've ever bought a new racket, struggled with motivation, or felt stuck in your game, drop a comment below. Tell me your story. Tell me what changed or what you hoped would change. This space is built for players who want to grow both mentally and emotionally, and your voice matters here. And if there's someone you know, a hitting partner, a coach, a tennis friend, who could use a fresh perspective, share this episode with them. Sometimes one sentence can shift an entire season. Closing message. May your new racket remind you of this simple truth. You are allowed to begin again as many times as you need. Every fresh start is a doorway, and you get to choose what you step into next. Keep going, keep exploring, and keep showing up for the version of yourself you are becoming. You're doing better than you think.